Hey guys, welcome to BSR Sports Talk on BostonSportsRadio.net. He's Brian Roach. I'm Ashish Sharma, and we'll be talking about yesterday's AFC Championship game between the Baltimore Ravens and the New England Patriots. It was obviously a disappointing end of the season, Brian, but the Ravens won 28-13, and at the end of the day, I think you just got to give them credit. They outplayed Tom Brady, they outplayed the Patriots defense, and they deserve to be going to the Super Bowl to face the 49ers.
Yeah, they did a really good job in the second half. Outscored the Patriots 21-0. The Patriots had chances to get into the end zone, but a couple interceptions by Tom Brady made it so they couldn't fight their way and claw their way back into this game.
Yeah, I think in the first half, the Patriots offense seemed to be gelling. While the Ravens couldn't get anything going. I think they started with a three and out, and then on their second drive they punted. And it seemed in the first half the Patriots, until at least the Ravens finally scored a touchdown to take a 7-3 lead. At the half, as it was getting towards the end of the first half, there was a little bit of bad clock management by the Patriots. They were up 10-7 with about 9 seconds left going into halftime. And it just uncharacteristically, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, neither of them called a timeout with 9 seconds left. If they had called a timeout, they could have at least taken a shot at the end zone. And if that didn't work, they could have kicked the field goal. Instead, they let the clock go down to 4 seconds, called a timeout, and by that point, all they could do was kick a field goal. Very, very interesting that happened.
Yeah, Brady ran the ball for 5 yards, and I believe it was they were at the 5 yard line or a
Something like
little before that. And there was actually 18 seconds left when Brady finally got up. So they had a chance to maybe call timeout 13, 12 seconds and have chance for two pass attempts. And I don't know why they didn't call anything. Instead, they just settled for the field goal, which is looking back is a bad decision, especially entering when the Ravens started the second half with the ball.
Right, yeah, no, just very uncharacteristic move by Brady and Belichick not to call that, because if they go for the end zone and they get it, it's a 17-7 game. Instead, at what point it was 10-7, it just became a 13-7 game. It was a one possession game after they kicked the field goal with Gostowski. And obviously, Aqib Talib early on did a pretty good job on Anquan Bolden, I thought. And then he got hurt and didn't come in the rest of the game. Kyle Arrington replaced him. And in the second half, Bolden just went off.
Yeah, he had those nice two touchdowns to put this game away. Um, put the Ravens up 8, and then put them up 15. One of them was a really good catch. He was covered by two people, and just Flacco put it where he could catch it, or only he could catch it, and he was able to. He was hit by two guys both guys after the play too. So I mean, and then the second one, he was just wide open in the end zone. So.
Right, yeah, no, the Ravens offense just took over in the second half. I mean, 21 unanswered points. Just couldn't believe that happened. I can't remember the last time that the Patriots were shut out in the second half at home or anywhere for that matter. And Brandon Lloyd, obviously got up to a good start. He was involved early, and then he just disappeared. I don't know what happened. He made a couple of nice plays early on, but it just seemed like Brady was mostly targeting through the pass Aaron Hernandez and Wes Welker after that.
Yeah, I mean, he had that nice one-handed duck around catch around ball,
Yeah.
around what's his name, Bernard Pollard. So they were able to he was able to get around him for a first down. But I think that's basically one of the only catches he had in the second half.
Yeah, just was MIA. And, it's in what seems to have become a pattern. Joe Flacco once again outplayed Tom Brady. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Brady, although one of his picks was in garbage time, he threw 2 interceptions to just 1 touchdown. I really think that this is becoming a pattern. Every time these two teams face each other, it just seems like Joe Flacco has a better game between the two.
Yeah, I mean, Brady is probably gonna be a Hall of Famer as long as he keeps playing for 3 or 4 more years. And Flacco is just starting out his career. It's his 5th season. He already has the most road wins in NFL playoff history. Brady owns the record for most playoff victories with 17, but he started off 10-0. Now he's 7-7 in his last 14, and he hasn't won a Super Bowl in those seasons. So
Right. Although, I mean, Brady was a Hall of Famer 5 years ago. Even if he just retired then and didn't do anything for the rest of his career, he'd still be a first ballot Hall of Famer after what he was able to do. It's just really frustrating to see that his career now down the end, he's just not able to win these big games, and it's really baffling considering the way his career started out, the 10-0 record in the playoffs early on with the 3 Super Bowl rings. But getting back to Joe Flacco, now that we've seen Joe Flacco outplay Tom Brady several times, we've seen Joe Flacco obviously now, this is the second straight week on the road that he's gone in and outplayed a future Hall of Famer. Obviously, 2 weeks ago it was Peyton Manning in that fantastic AFC divisional game against Denver. Is Joe Flacco elite now? Has he broken into that category with Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, guys like that? Is he finally there?
I don't I don't think he's quite there yet. I think he's like one step down because he doesn't play that well during the regular season. Like he has a pocket of good games and then a pocket of games. So like that's why he hasn't reached that yet. I mean, luckily he has these wideouts like Torrey Smith that can beat guys, and Bolden, who's a very physical wide receiver, and Dennis Pitta as the tight end. But I don't think he's there quite yet. He needs to put up these numbers consistently during the regular season.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, yes, he has the fantastic, what is it now, 5 straight years since his rookie year that he's made the playoffs, and he's played very well in the playoffs. He's shown that he's got ice in his veins, and he doesn't put up the gaudy stats that you see with guys like Tom Brady. 4,800 yards, 5,000 yards with Drew Brees. He doesn't do that, but the guy wins, and he gets his team into the playoffs. He wills his team in the playoffs. Yeah, you could say that he's got, Ray Rice and Anquan Bolden and Torrey Smith. But, I think you just got to give him credit. In addition to that great defense that he has, he's just done it time and time again. He's not yet at that level, but he is about a notch below. He has to be more consistent, as you said. And I think he will be, as long as he continues to play at this level, and if he gets a couple of rings, who knows, he might be, up and coming the next, I don't want to say the next Tom Brady or the next Peyton Manning, but he might be in the top 10 at this point. I don't know why people continue to disrespect him. Maybe it's just that he doesn't put up the flashy stats. Maybe it's because he's not a flashy player, but he gets it done.
It could be his facial hair, but that's another question.
Right. Oh, let's talk about the tight ends in this game. Aaron Hernandez was pretty good. He had something like 85 yards. Let's see, what did he have?
Yeah.
Receptions, 83 yards. But Dennis Pitta on the other side, not as many yards, but he had a fantastic touchdown that put the Ravens ahead. 5 receptions, 55 yards. Dennis Pitta was an X factor in this game.
Yeah, there was that one drive. He had 3 great catches. One, he got nailed by
Gerard Mayo.
Who did he get? Yeah, Gerard Mayo. He just leveled him. Yeah, and then he just caught the next pass for the touchdown. So he was able to get back up after that hit.
Yeah, I think he's a very underrated player in this offense with the Ravens. He's done a fantastic job, and you just saw it yesterday. He just took over that drive offensively in terms of those 3 catches. And speaking of the tight ends, it just seemed like the Pats missed Gronk. This offense is basically focused on Gronkowski as the main focal point in terms of the receiving core. In terms of the tight ends and the receivers. I mean, yeah, you always say it's Welker, but Welker's able to get so open because of Rob Gronkowski. And Welker still had a pretty decent game. But I do think that, Aaron Hernandez and Wes Welker are not as effective without that big body that you get with number 87.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it would have been a totally different game if Gronk was in there and they were able to sustain those drives. They were 6 times they were in Ravens territory. One of those, they scored a touchdown. It was just ridiculous, how they couldn't get past that hump, to make it into the end zone. So.
Right, yeah. I mean, Welker still had a great game. I mean, 8 receptions, 117 yards, and Gronk wasn't always here. So, and they were still winning. But I think now with their offense, it's kind of built around, Gronk getting the double coverage and then freeing up Welker and Hernandez. But Welker, as good as he is, this is now the second time in 2 years that he's had a crucial drop late in the ball game. Obviously, this wasn't the fourth quarter for the game, anything, but this was still a pretty crucial drive. Welker, in the third quarter, with about 10 minutes remaining, on third down, I forget if it was third and four, third and three, something like that. He was wide open and he just dropped it. It hit him right in the chest, right between the numbers, and it caused fourth down. And Baltimore ended up getting the ball back and scored on the ensuing drive.
Yeah, I mean, uh, the drive before that, the Patriots were able to stall the Ravens, make them punt it, and then like the Patriots were doing good offensively, and then all of a sudden it was like there's that dreaded drop. I mean, Shane Vereen had one late in the game that uh, would have been for a first down on
Yeah.
the when Tom Brady had that 4th and 4 where he could have
Yeah.
ran it, but
Yeah, on fourth and four, he still kind of got nailed near the end of that, but he could have run it. I don't know why he threw it away. I think he could have if he really, bounced to the outside. He could have outrun. I forget who it was,
Niata, it
but
was Niata.
he could have bounced to the outside and got the first down. Instead, he threw it away, and they turned it over on downs. He had that uncharacteristic interception, not the one in the end zone that ended the game, but the one that got tipped. I mean, this is a really big Baltimore defense. They get their hands on everything. It's like they've got a bunch of J.J. Watts all over the place. And yeah, just uncharacteristic plays by some really good players. Like you said, Wes Welker, Shane Vereen's been really good. He had that drop. Brady, not being decisive on the run. And then, obviously it's been a problem with Stephen Ridley too, but, this one I don't even blame him. I mean, he just got knocked out with that fumble in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter. Bernard Pollard came flying in with the helmet to helmet, and he just got knocked out cold. He just kind of flopped over and let go of the ball. And I think that was just one of those freak plays that you can't really blame the guy. I mean, he just got.
Yeah, that wasn't even fair by Pollard, so
I mean, man, Bernard Pollard, what is it with this guy? Let's see now. Brady, Welker, Gronkowski, and now Ridley. I mean, what is this guy? Does he just go after Patriots? Well, I don't understand. The Patriots.
yeah, he better watch out soon or the Patriots will come after him. So
I know, right? Too bad he plays on defense. Half of me wants to sign Bernard Pollard just so he can stop doing this. But yeah, Ray Rice obviously didn't really get the running game going for Ray Rice. He had that one touchdown, but 19 carries for 48 yards. They did a pretty good job on him.
yeah, but since the Patriots secondary opened up, Flacco saw the hole and was like, "All right, I'll just throw it to different guys, eat up little chunks of yardage." And Ray Rice wasn't needed. They mainly focused with the other running back, Pierce, who had
Right.
52 yards on 9 carries. So
Right. Right, yeah, no, I think Ray Rice did a really good job on that one touchdown run. It seemed like he was going to bust through the middle, and then Dante Hightower was just there waiting for him, and he had a nice move. He just kind of juked to the left and walked into the end zone. That's what makes him so tricky is just that his agility and his decision making. He's a really good running back, um, and he showed that yesterday. And obviously, some guys were a little bit more happy than others. Obviously, Ray Lewis, the retirement tour, the farewell tour continues now into Louisiana, going to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. But Terrell Suggs didn't have a huge game, but he was running his mouth afterwards. Walking by reporters at the end, he was yelling at them, saying, tell them to have fun at the Pro Bowl. And then he had some choice words that we can't repeat on this video cast here. But called the Patriots a very not a very nice thing he said about them. And then later he tweeted, and now I'm reading a tweet that he had. I'm assuming now on the plane as they were boarding. Charm City, all caps. These Patriots fans are mad! Exclamation! Exclamation! Like 5 exclamation points! Ha 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 ha! And then hashtag ask if I give a bleep. Like what is with Terrell Suggs? Can this guy just be a little modest? I mean, what is this?
I don't know. I mean, I want to say like they should have some class with the win. Like the Patriots more classy with the loss. Like Bill Belichick ignoring the media.
Yeah,
Like
Steve Castor.
get,
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I think, like I was listening to WEI yesterday, John Ryder, and he said, it just works for them. Some organizations are classy, and that's how they do it. And Baltimore is one of those organizations like, the Pittsburgh Steelers that just, elect to run their mouth. and it works for them. So I guess that's fine. And yeah, the Patriots have gotten used to being classy, but I'm glad you brought that up. Bill Belichick, has had moments where he has not really displayed class. I mean, he blew off Steve Tasker for a post-game interview, and that kind of brings up the question: does Belichick need to be a little bit better of a loser? Is he a sore loser?
I mean, I don't think he's that sore of a loser. I mean, they got like really outplayed yesterday, and that's how he is with the media. He's always like short answers, except for like when he's talking about like his old days. Like I was interning at CBS, and I saw like one of the transcripts. Like there was a question about like his past, and he like gave like his full like life, like about like the history of like playing like different offenses and stuff like that, and different schemes. And I was just like, but then there was like a long question, and he gives like 3-word answer. Like
Yeah, he's it just seems like Bill Belichick right after games just doesn't have much to offer. He's just kind of like, well, we'll look at the film, we'll break it down, we'll get back to you. Pre-game interviews and like his press conferences during the week, he seems to offer a lot more. And in his conference calls with the media, he seems to be a lot more candid in those. So there's something about post-game press conferences. I think it's like with him, it's like, get out of my face. I just got out of the game. I don't want to do this right now. But yeah, I think he just needs to display a little bit more class in general. This isn't the first time that he's had these moments with the media. Obviously there was Super Bowl 42 where he walked off the field with like 2 seconds remaining. As a head coach, it sucks to lose. As a player, it sucks to lose. But you have to have more class than that. Let's move on now. Obviously, it's the end of the season. The Patriots have a lot of free agents like, Julian Edelman, Deion Branch, guys like that. But the biggest one, Wes Welker, is he coming back, do you think? Will they franchise him? Will they let him go? What do you think?
they'll probably franchise him just because like the Patriots don't want to have him long term because he's getting up there in age. He's a vital part of this offense because he can have 10 catches for like 100 yards, and that helps move the chains and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't think they want to spend all that money to sign him for an extra year, extra years. It's like the David Ortiz situation. That's why I consider it. I mirror those two situations until Welker like shows he can stay healthy, which he has. But I mean, Bill Belichick likes to switch things up a little bit. So
Yeah, no, I think he's become such an integral part of this offense. I can't see him leaving. I think they will franchise him, like you said. There's a couple of reasons they won't want to do the long-term deal. Obviously, he has that bum knee that he, injured a couple years ago against Houston. Obviously, he hasn't shown any signs of that being a factor. But as he gets up there in age, his ability to cut, his ability to be as agile and make some of those movements is going to decline. They don't want to give him a long-term deal with a lot of guaranteed money. And, especially after they've, signed Rob Gronkowski long-term, 6 years, $54 million. Aaron Hernandez, 5 years, $40 million. They're kind of being a little cautious now with, going out there and giving Welker a long-term deal after they just signed those two guys. And by franchising him, I think next year the number will be at $10.4 million is the rough estimate for wide receivers. I think by franchising him and bringing him back and not spending that money for a long-term deal, with a little extra money, with all these free agents coming off the books, I think they can now look at guys like Charles Woodson. I know he's a little up there in age, but I've said this before. Green Bay's not taking him back. If he's willing to come to New England on a 2-year deal or something like that, that's something I would do because I think you need to focus on strengthening this defense. If you lose Wes Welker, which they won't, but I'm just saying if they did, this is still a top 3 offense. You can afford to take a hit like that, but you cannot afford to let this secondary continue to be the way it is. You need to improve it, whether it's via free agency or via the draft. And obviously the draft hasn't really worked out that well, especially, over the last couple of years in terms of defense, with the exceptions being obviously Dante Hightower and Chandler Jones. But, ultimately, if they can go out and get a guy like Woodson, or maybe even Ed Reed, who's not sure that he's going back to Baltimore, I think you gotta jump on that. I mean, I drool over the prospect of bringing one of those guys in, wouldn't you?
yeah, I mean, this Patriots defense is really starting to show signs of weakness, especially without without a true certified cornerback. Like, I mean, Talib was great when he was here, but he got injured too much. I mean, I really wish they would bring him back because he's going to be a free agent in March. So I really hope that they can sign someone defensively, keep McCourty at safety, and get rid of Patrick Chung. So
Yeah, Patrick
that's what
Chung is
that's what.
gone. I actually like Steve Gregory. I'd like to keep him around, but if they can go out and get a replacement like Ed Reed, I mean, I'm sorry, bye, Gregory. Thanks for everything. You were great, but it's Ed Reed. Now, Ed Reed is kind of up there in age, 34, but ultimately he's still been productive. And, we talk about guys aging and stuff like that. I am willing to go out and get an old Ed Reed or old Charles Woodson to replace these young, and I'm sorry to use the word, incompetent defensive backs at times. Giving up tons of yards, giving up, points and third down conversions and things like that. I'm willing to go out there and do that if I'm Belichick. And if that means just franchising Welker and not giving him a long-term deal, or, maybe franchising someone else like Edelman, who they don't want to lose, who they see as Welker's replacement, and taking the risk and seeing Welker walk, just do that. Because at the end of the day, strengthening the defense is more important than bringing Welker back. Strengthening the pass defense, because they still have Gronkowski, they still have Hernandez, they still have Lloyd, they have other guys that can fill in offensively. This will still be a top 3 offense. They may not be number 1 if they lose Wes Welker. I'll say that much. They may drop to number 2, number 3. They will still be one of the most elite offenses in the league. They have to strengthen the secondary. That's what they have to do.
Yeah, I think they'll. If they don't sign anyone, I say they go after someone in the draft. They need to find something, move up somehow in the draft and something like that. So.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. It'll be a very interesting offseason. Right now, my gut feeling is that they will end up franchising Wes Welker. Probably won't be too happy about that, Wes won't, but he's a professional. He'll be back. Right now I say Wes Welker comes back on the 10.4 rough estimate franchise. Now, before we go, the Horror Bowl, as they're calling it, or the Super Bowl, whatever you want to call this thing, Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, great day for their family, both getting to the Super Bowl. I think this is the first time in history that 2 head coach brothers will be facing each other in the Super Bowl. So Ravens and 49ers, who you got?
I say the 49ers win. It's a decently high-scoring game. I say maybe 35-33 or 35-31, something around there. So.
Yeah, I got the 49ers winning 31-28. I think it'll be a close game. These 2 teams played each other last year on Thanksgiving, and the result was a 16-6 win by the Ravens. I think this time, the Niners just look too good. They just look too good with Kaepernick doing his thing on offense. He's got great weapons like Vernon Davis, Michael Crabtree. Obviously, Randy Moss is nowhere close to what he was a few years ago, but he can still be an occasional deep threat. Frank Gore is still doing his thing. And then defensively, they've got guys like Patrick Willis, Deshaun Golson, Justin Smith, Aldon Smith. They just seem to have so many weapons. They're such a well-balanced team. And the Ravens are also very balanced. They've got a great defense, a great offense with guys like Joe Flacco doing it time and time again, Anquan Bolden, Torrey Smith. But at the same time, the Ravens are an aging defense. Ray Lewis is not the same player that he was 4 or 5 years ago. Ed Reed getting up there in age. They've still got guys like Terrell Suggs, but he wasn't much of a factor in the AFC Championship game. So I think it's going to be a good game. Like I said, despite 2 really great defenses, I think offense will rule this game.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people in New England will be watching that game. Maybe just for the commercials. They don't want to. They don't want to look at be like Ray Lewis. What is he gonna do? Cry again or something like that? Cry during the national anthem. So.
Yeah, Ray, come on, man. If you want that, you got to go to Hollywood. Stop with all this crying stuff. I understand that this is, look, I'll be honest. I love Ray Lewis. I think he's been a fantastic player. He's been an ambassador for the league. Obviously, early on in his career, he had a little bit of a questionable moment there with, the obstruction of justice and things like that. But I think since then, he's been a pretty good citizen on and off the field. So I've always been a big fan of him, and if he can win his second title, I'll be happy only for him, not for Terrell Suggs, not for maybe Ed Reed. I'll be happy for Ed Reed. I like Ed Reed too. But yeah, this is one of those Super Bowls where you just kind of watch and you go, whoever wins wins. I
Hmm.
really don't care for either one. So
I'm just gonna avoid like ESPN for the next like 2 weeks because they're just gonna talk about it like the whole
yeah,
time.
avoid media day. Avoid media day. Let's just watch the Pro Bowl and forget about media day. And then, hey, you know what? Pitches and catches are important in less than a month, so we'll have something to talk about, and then we can just forget about football until next season. How about that, Brian?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's the end of the Patriots season. Obviously we'll have a lot more to talk about on BSR Sports Talk. The Celtics are still playing, given it's bad basketball, but they're still playing. Like I said, pitchers and catchers are reporting pretty soon. So you know what? As one season ends, another one begins. We'll turn the chapter, we'll turn the page, and we'll have a lot more to talk about in the coming weeks. Hopefully, a lot more positives, and we'll see what happens in the Super Bowl. Maybe we'll touch on that too. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. He's Brian Roach. I'm Ashish Sharma, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.